republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Happy New Year, everyone. Sarah has a birthday this month, and Jim Brown has already had his. Thank you. He's officially older than me. Melissa, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Here.
Mr. Fasig?
Here.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Mrs. Gill?
Here.
Mrs. Clyde?
Here.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Here. Thank you. First thing we need to do is elect our president for 2025. So we're now open nominations.
I would like to nominate Beth Fenstermaker. I think Sarah's done a wonderful job, but in just the spirit of change and keeping things fresh, I'd like to nominate Beth.
Is there a second? Two seconds for that one. A second for that?
Does Beth have to accept the nomination on all this work? No. Do you want to do it?
I don't want to step on my toes, so I do not care. Sign a whole lot of papers.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'll make a second.
I think Mike did.
Oh,
So
sorry.
Tyler's
Sorry.
third.
I was looking.
Any other nominations?
No.
Then someone will make a motion to close the nominations?
I'll make a motion to close the nominations.
I'll second
Any
that. Is a vote?
discussion? Okay, Mel calls the roll.
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Fasig?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Do I have to? Yes. You can say no.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Clyde?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
I think that's a done deal.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, on pages 1 through 4, we have the December minutes. It seems like it was eons ago.
Seems like it's last year.
Good one.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 9th, 2024 meeting.
Second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, then would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Clyde? Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Fasig?
Yes.
And it does not appear that we have any visitors this evening. Committee reports, Mike, P&P, I think you passed that out this evening here.
No, I didn't. I'm not sure
Oh.
where that came from.
It was emailed to Haley.
Oh.
I wonder if Val actually sent that Haley instead of this Haley.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Well, it's nice because I missed it.
Yeah, because typically we don't hand that out yet.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's
Oh,
what
I
happened
just
then.
assumed since we
Yeah.
were in my box and made copies,
Yep.
so.
Well, then we can all throw this sheet away then if we need to.
It's not really official yet. It
Okay.
hasn't been approved yet,
Okay.
but anyhow. Okay, so for the month of November, which was December, there was 21 runs for that month, and the year-to-date was 254. Jeremy was present and provided a run summary report, which I just gave you, and then he also reported that the medical direction with the billing for medical direction will soon be arriving for 2025, and then also reported that he's looking into some other EMS reporting software, and he is not happy with the current one that's being used. So. Pretty much that on the PMP.
Okay. fire? We didn't get a copy of that one, sorry.
No, it's probably a good thing. So, the fire department was awarded the Ohio First Responders Grant, awarded, and then hoses for SBA or SCBA gear, and the grant administrator, let's see, there's a lot there on this one. Okay, so,
In a nutshell, the SCBA gear and the hoses were ordered.
yes, correct. Yep. Applied for the grass truck with Mickey and the grant writer. New contract was sent out and being signed and returned. And fire truck estimated delivery is or around May 25th. Production started November 24th. Pretty much it.
Any questions for Mike? Do you know if they plan to do anything special once that new truck arrives?
I'm not sure, I would think
Okay.
so, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tyler, you handed out planning and zoning.
Yeah, we met back on Wednesday, December 18th. We had no visitors. Peterman was still continuing to work on drawings. We didn't have any new drawings to review during that meeting. Since received some, so we'll be discussing that later, I believe. There's a CRA with the village. We tabled that discussion until we understand more of that after we review with Hancock Regional Planning. And we adjourned at 6:55. There were no motions or anything recommended to move forward, so just needed an approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve those meetings on the minutes from December 8th.
No
I
second.
have a question. Do you guys fill that spot with Dave passing? Or how does that work?
It's a good question. I think, Heather, do you want to address it, Pat?
Yes, it is an appointed position, and we have already asked someone else to step in because of Joe DeHaan's been off some. He does plan to come back. I did speak with him, and Troy Steinbrook has agreed to fill in for that position. And he brings some expertise. Dave will be missed.
Yeah.
He could read plans and have a lot of just down-to-earth ideas, so feel bad for his family, so, but we did ask Troy. Anything else? Then is there a motion to pass those minutes? Jamie, you had that on the floor, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep,
then
I
Mike-
seconded it.
And Mike did, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Sorry.
Okay, would you call the roll in?
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mr. Fasig?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes. Okay. Any old business? New business? Mike, do you have anything for this evening?
Just noted update for the next month's February meeting for the military banners. That first Monday of the month.
Okay. First Monday?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, obviously, the Courier, since we didn't send ours in, we didn't get anything in the paper today, so we'll be adding this too.
Okay.
And that was 6:30 again?
Yes. Correct. I don't have a calendar in front of me to give you that date, so.
The third. Oh, well, our big calendar's gone, but the February 3rd
Third.
is the first Monday?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. I'll bounce across. Beth, do you have anything?
Yeah, I would like to make sure we schedule the 5:30 finance committee. I'd just like to go over some of the things for the, coming up in 2025, so we're all on the same page of what we're going to be spending our money on, and maybe go over personnel as well.
Okay.
We'll just do that.
Oh.
15th,
Yeah.
Haley, do you have anything?
Wait 1 second, so this Wednesday, the 15th. Okay. One is the Parks and Rec that we scheduled for February 10th at 5:30 before council. Greg, do you want to invite Randy?
I can.
And then I just have a question, like, off topic. So, the whole sheriff's department contract thing, we had a get together at the VFW in the front room a couple weekends ago, it was the beginning of the year. And the sheriff, like, walked in through the front door and said he was the head of the Arlington VFW. And, like, kept walking through to, like, find someone up front, but it was, like, 11 o'clock. I don't know if that's considered a business check or...
Night?
At night. He just randomly stopped, and then someone, I think Brent actually, my husband asked him what he was doing. He said, I run the Arlington VFW or something, and then he walked in to find Todd Hankins. And Todd said it was all fine. I just found it very odd.
I wasn't notified of anything, it's hard to say. They could have just been doing a walkthrough, they could have been
They do a lot of
looking for some...
walkthroughs when you see these,
they-
like the business check, so maybe they were checking to make sure that it was a true function.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, we were in the, so we weren't in the back or the front.
Right, but they may have been checking
Okay.
to make sure that it wasn't just a party and
Yeah.
nobody in charge.
There could have been something going on that night, maybe, and they were chasing somebody around, even, who knows?
Okay.
But I wasn't notified of anything, so I wouldn't say. it
But
was
once we get
anything.
Tyler up and running, you'll know, because you'll be able to see that
That'd be nice.
report.
And I didn't see anything in the ad either, so he might have just been...
I didn't know if that's how it worked, or it just seemed odd that he was like, I'm from the Arlington VFW. It just,
He might have been just checking out the setup, how it is set up here even.
okay.
It's hard to say.
They didn't call us for anything crazy.
No.
That's good. Sarah?
Just the T-ball signups, Greg, if you don't mind checking with Don about the Tuesdays and Saturday schedule for May. And that's what I
It'll
got.
be warm by then.
Yeah.
Yay.
And rainy.
Jamie?
Yeah, the cemetery meeting on January 21st for, I don't know if we're all on still the same committees or not, but that's gonna be at 5:30 instead of 6.
I should have a list of committees out tomorrow. Any updates where we're at? I wasn't sure who president was going to be, so we'll get that out.
Okay. I also have the Daisy Girl Scout troop, as you all know, and I am working with Greg on trying to do a cookie drive-through at the park one of these days, one of these weekends, so stay tuned for that. I'd also like to call an executive session to discuss the purchase of property for public purposes or the sale of property at competitive bidding. And I believe everyone is over the students. Yep,
Whoever you want.
okay, everyone that's in here can be in attendance.
We have zoning this Wednesday. We received some drawings from Peterman, so we can review all of that. What was the final committees for,
Pardon?
the committees for everything, what was that? How
We
are we
won't know
gonna deal
until
with that?
tomorrow.
I'll pass them out tomorrow. I'll send an email with
Just-
everyone.
I think some of them have to be voted on by council, so we could take care of them, something.
I thought all
Right.
committees were appointed by the.
Yeah, I don't think you have.
I
to
know
vote on
zoning,
it.
Pardon me?
I don't think zoning is, I think zoning is one that's recommended. Cause I remember dealing with that when we first started, Brad was appointed, and then we reviewed that, and then there was a vote, and that's how I ended up on
I
it.
think we had 2 and we were only supposed to have 1. Do you want to go get our vote?
I can't remember.
Certain positions can be appointed by the mayor if they're vacant because of something, is that right?
Well, there might be a vote of council.
I could be
if they're
wrong,
doing
I'm not saying that
replacement,
I'm right.
but For the
I'm not
original,
saying that I'm right, but I thought
for the
some-
original committees, there shouldn't count on.
The only other, I had two, sorry, on committees
okay.
was, I don't know, do we wanna continue having the finance committee meet as council? Cause we've really been treating it as like, it's like the finance council committee. So I don't know if we wanna go back to that, being treated as an actual committee.
Well, I had that
Or if you don't
written-
feel we should keep it how it is, that's fine, but.
It's more of a committee of a whole at that point, right, if we're all here.
Well, at the time when all six decided that we ought to all be on it together, things were not so
Yes.
good at that
Yes,
time
I
with
understand the
finances.
reasoning.
And I don't have an issue if you want to go back to 3,
Or
or,
it's just a discussion, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I had that opinion also as far as it's like a committee of a whole when we're all there. If it's a finance committee, then it's just treated as the other committees.
so, thoughts? We could go to 3, and anybody else that really wanted to join in could show up. You wouldn't be necessarily
That's kinda how I
expected.
feel, I think it could be reduced to treated as a normal committee.
I had that down as a question. So I will assign 3, and then it'll be announced when it is, and that way if anybody else wants to join.
Sounds good.
I think that's fair and good, you.
Yeah, that was my, I had the same thought.
I think it's in the one from
The state.
the state.
That's, okay.
Yeah, but I'll look it
And
up.
that's just
Alright.
three council members, correct?
Yeah.
Right, finances.
But we still have the subcommittee of the planning and zoning. That is 2 of our council members that we voted on.
I think so.
Yeah, that was voted upon.
Okay. Yeah.
A project committee, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was all I had, I was lost.
All right, thank you. Student committee reports.
The committee, lately has talked about doing our park picnic day, and then making that, kind of trying to do like an annual thing. And then continuing the inflatables, cause that seemed to be a big hit, from last year. And we are still trying to figure out, a spring fundraiser, we're still not 100% sure on what we wanna do. And then last time we talked about additions and like revising the handbook, and we talked about terms starting in May. That way like if I transition, I'm graduating, that a new member, that'd be like our transition period to make it easier over the summer.
And it started in May.
It would, yeah, May to April.
That sounds like a good plan.
Or then like May or something.
Yeah.
Something like that overlap. Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay,
I
thank
have
you.
a question. What does the fundraising money do?
That's what pays for the inflatables or any other.
The events?
Yep.
Okay.
How did you guys do on the coffee? Did you get those numbers from the
No.
treasurer?
No.
Let me make a note of that. I've got them, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I think you.
Seems like 250,
I think it was
260, something like that.
Was it the Christmas event?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometime Christmas.
Again, we'll get your name in early so we get in the, well, I don't know where the buildings will be for next year, who knows?
Yeah.
You might be in a batting cage across here. You could do an indoor dunking.
Yeah, there you go. Pie in the trees.
Yeah.
Legislative, we have one on here, and then, Rob kind of has brought another one that was brought up, so evidently I need to go copy. So,
Oh, I thought it was mine.
oh, it's good. Okay, you want to do resolutions first?
Resolution R 2025-01, a resolution to adopt proposed modifications to the fee schedule regarding the solid waste disposal rates and charges of the Hancock County Solid Waste Management District.
And that's basically an increase that, for the dump, correct?
Yeah, we went up,
Hancock, what's it called? Sanitary, something or other.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2025-01.
Second.
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mr. Fazy?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes. The one that I handed out, is that going to be 01?
Mm-hmm.
2601, or 2501?
Yeah, 2501.
Well, 1 or 2?
It's an O, 2025-01.
Because it's an ordinance.
Yep, gotcha.
And Rob said he'll kind of explain some of this, and I know Tammy had some concerns as well, so we'll just kind of keep it an open discussion, and then we can count that as our first reading.
So, Tammy brought to my attention this might be good for the village to have, so I prepared that today for tonight. You guys don't have any particular rules on how ordinances are presented and time and what you call them, whether they're revisions or amendments or add-ons and all that stuff. So here it is before you. The regulations that are involved in there in regards to sleeping, camping, and so forth, this is pretty much word for word, except for a few modifications of what the Grant Pass, Oregon rules were that went to the Supreme Court of the United States. So these have already been found to be appropriate and approved by the United States Supreme Court, which means it's good across the land. So this is something that the village wants to have in place for good measure for months and years to come. This would be a good format to have. It seems to have covered all issues of concern. I would highly suggest all 3 readings, unless maybe after the second or on the night of the second, there's just nobody here to comment on it. You could end up just passing it, but 3 readings would be appropriate. If you review it after tonight, between now and the next meeting, and there's either an error or something that you might want to have council consider to amend, we can continue to amend it and still continue to do our second reading. It's just when we get to that 3rd reading, then it has to be done. So even if you catch something between now and the next meeting you might want to add, that can be discussed at the next meeting, can be added on.
Tammy, you want to kind of share why your concern is?
Well, Finley has adopted the same thing, because they've had a lot of homeless sleeping on people's front lawns and backyards and things like that. Church steps. So I'm just kind of worried now that they're doing this, they're going to scatter it out in the smaller villages. So I think it's a good idea that we...
And we already have had some that you found down in...
Yeah, in the summertime.
Dugouts and things, so...
Some of them will come down from Toledo that are working at the cookie, that don't have rides, and they'll just spend the night down at the reservoir.
And, you know, there's been brought up about the one gentleman who is camping in the backyard and things like that. So I think, personally, I think it's a good one to have on the record. I would suggest that everyone read through it, and as Rob said, between now and the second reading, if you see anything that you think we need to change.
No, but just to put at page 4, there's a reference to city instead of village.
Yeah, Paul fixed that.
So now, do you want to do the official reading of
Sure.
this, please?
Ordinance 2025-01, an ordinance enacting regulations on homeless camps and public sleeping and declaring an emergency.
Oh, 25. Okay. Now, do you have anything that you would like to add for your report there?
I received an email from Mary Price, and she said our 2024 tax forms are online, and everything's been updated, so we've been waiting on those. And I don't have the financials yet because I'm working through year-end closeout, so next meeting, but I expect we'll have as much carryover
what's in the lighting throughout the park, the donation.
$500.
Yeah, we donated in there, but you spent some of that already or not?
It's in there, I mean,
Okay.
you know, it,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how much has been donated, you can say it's been spent.
All right.
Got it, thank you.
Then the only other thing we wanted was, see about getting, where's it at in front of us?
The amount.
Hours and
Right.
Oh, yeah.
time for at the park for the pool.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
could
what,
give me that
what
stuff.
their last rates were last year?
Yeah, last
We have,
year.
yeah.
Well,
Randy was 21,
Yeah.
I can't think who the assistant was, but it was, I want to say 18, maybe not. Maybe 16, yeah. And then the lifeguards were 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
Pool parties were 20.
we wanted to get a rundown
A
of
breakdown of
a breakdown of
hours.
what we had.
Okay.
Hours wise last year.
I
and
think
then
you have
Pool
that
parties,
already.
pool parties wise and all that
I
stuff.
think you
right?
passed that out in October, if I'm not
Probably.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Because the pool had been closed, and I think
Yep.
we had a balance in what we had spent.
Okay, I'll send that out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mel? Thank you. Greg?
We did receive some preliminary design plans of all the mechanicals for the community center. I requested Eric Trout of Peterman to try to finalize everything. He told me by the end of this week, we should have all we need to review and hopefully put something out to bid sooner than later here. I was informed at the end of last year that we did not receive any small government OPWC funding. This would have been for the second phase of the Church Street Interceptor. We'll keep trying to find other avenues of some funding. I did meet with the ODNR officials for the dam safety inspection of the reservoirs. It was so cold that day, I will say. Had to pick the coldest day of the year, but I walked the reservoirs with the inspectors. I just wanted to kind of gain what they're looking for. Northwest Water was out there too at the beginning. They informed ODNR that our reservoirs are no longer for drinking water, and that was a concern to the inspector, that we no longer be drawing water down. So they're possibly trying to think of a way to have an overflow system. I basically told the inspector if he's looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, that is not going to work for this village. So he thought it would be some type of simple overflow system that they can come up with. But stay tuned, I guess.
I have one question on that, just a simple one. Can that, still be controlled by just turning off the pump so nothing is pumped into the reservoir?
Yeah.
So they're just,
His comment, because I said that, and his comment to me was there's average of 30, I didn't realize there was that much rain, 36 inches of rain in Ohio.
yeah.
And so I'm like, it's not all at once, but
You have to consider the rate of evaporation too. Like on a sunny day, like you'd be blown away by the amount of gallons they evaporate.
36 inches
So, like,
seems excessive.
I would see if Northwest can help us do a study on that to say the precipitation falling from the sky is not going to cause this to flood.
yeah.
But that pump house is still going to be ours at this point, isn't it? We're taking everything out, other than.
The pumps are still going to work, be active. In case it does get low, we can pump water in there.
Then they install some kind of sensor up at the reservoir?
But there's nothing to pump it into anymore. Like before, they could make water or pump it into the system, and now there is nothing to pump into it.
Yeah.
So whatever's in the reservoir is in the
Didn't
reservoir.
they normally fed reservoir 1, and then draw from that reservoir out.
Yep.
Right.
Now, there is no out anymore. So, we'll see what the inspector comes back with. Probably March or April before we even get anything back. Is what I looked at their old inspections. It usually takes them
Gotcha.
a fair amount of time. I did order Shelter House, number 1, what we're gonna replace that with. It looks just like Shelter House 2. It is a 12 to 16 week lead time, so that has been ordered. I plan on tearing down number 1 and redoing the concrete too. It's all cracked up. I'd like to thank Billy and Jared for their ongoing work of keeping our streets clean of snow.
It was noticed.
I did fill out, it's called SH-26 for the Bureau of Workers' Comp. It's one of the pieces so we can receive a discount on our premiums. We've done that the last few years. And Kathy will probably hit on this later. I don't want to.
Nope, I'm leaving it all to you.
But I did receive an email this morning that the village has received a safety grant, the abbreviated safety grant that we applied for $251,600. The scope of the project is installing 3 ADA compliant crosswalks across Park Drive, minor sections of sidewalk to create complete links, 6 new curb ramps with detachable warning, 3 sets of high visibility crosswalk, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and advanced signage to provide safe pedestrian access across the busty highway, I guess, sorry. Busy highway.
I like it. Yeah. Yay.
So that's all, everything, that's all on Park Drive, right?
Yeah.
Already.
There'll be one close to Dollar General.
Yeah, railroad tracks to Dollar General.
Dollar General, one at Bond,
Preble.
and one at South Street.
That way, if they know, they said if somebody walks down here, they know that they're gonna buzz across, so that's why they said, let's go with 3.
When is that work bid out?
What's that?
Since it's awarded, when is that bid out for?
I think it's on here, on that one sheet. The advanced funds could be needed as early as late spring 2025 for design, construction late 25, spring of 26. So, but it's a good role to start the year with. Thank you, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Okay, Rob?
Since last meeting, working with Haley, we filed, I believe, 3 new small claims gas account stop cases. Those have been doing quite well for getting our attention and getting matters resolved. I've been working with the mayor on the AEP easement. I'll allow her to elaborate on that tonight. We did meet in person over the holidays.
The coldest day of the year. There was the morning before we met the damn people.
And then we've been reviewing ongoing revisions of the lease agreement with the daycare, trying to get that in order. So those things have been ongoing, and that's all I have to report.
You have more than that, sir.
Congratulations,
Yes,
Rob.
congratulations.
That's just interim. So, yeah, I was appointed law director for the city of Findlay, sworn in today at 3:30. That's just step 1. Step 2 is the Republican Central Committee making their appointment, and then that carries through the election in November. And then I'll be more comfortable if that happens. It should have no effect on the village at all, as it never has. There are some grumblings now and again that there's some conflict, but if there is, it's been since 1969 and there's never been an issue. So I'll handle that if it comes up. But I'm not going anywhere. I don't have any plans to go anywhere from Macomb. and we'll see what happens. So, it does require that I get out of my private practice. There's no definition of what private practice is, so I leave nighttime work out of it. And, you know, that'd be like saying I can't coach a basketball team or something at night, it's my own time. And so we should be okay, but yep, that's the direction I'm headed, and I'm not sitting at my office anymore for the first time in 26 years. It's kind of tough.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I got a lot of crap to move.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun tomorrow. You get to go to the SNCC meeting, or you gonna go to that first?
When is that? I don't even know what it is.
Okay, that's how the department.
I'm gonna
heads
start
are.
going, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. I'll be there.
So is your office the one on the east side of the building with the big window?
For the city building?
No, where you're at now.
Yes. There's 3 offices in that line.
That's a great big window. I just noticed the other day when I was there, I'm like, what if that's Rob's
Yep.
office? Well, you gotta give that up.
All
So
big windows you can open.
what's your view from your new office?
County courthouse over Dorman
Oh.
Plaza.
So
It's
that's
a better
still a
view.
good view, yeah.
Well, for years, my office view was the parking lot there that the post office rents from Great Scott. That was before they made it nice, so it was just crumbled asphalt and leaves.
That could have been
For years,
interesting
you
too.
couldn't even drive on it. Anyway, yep, good things.
Okay.
Is there a renewal coming up on the lease agreement for daycare?
Pardon?
A renewal coming up on the daycare agreement?
We don't have anything officially in
We have
place.
highlights of
So they're just paying month to
We
month
have,
right now?
we have a proposal tonight that Rob feels comfortable with, we're gonna talk about.
Since we've talked about, do we need to do anything with these gas adjustments?
Oh, those were last minute, yeah.
I'm sorry, oh, the gas on 6 through 33 adjustments?
Yeah. That's down in line too far.
Oh, okay.
And just approved,
Well,
unless you have any
back up.
questions, they just be signed off. I'll make a motion to approve the gas adjustments.
I'll second it.
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Fazy?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Sorry.
Now, Chief.
The New Year's ran in a little quieter than what it ended. Thank goodness. 11 incidents and 134 calls for service since we met the last time. Tyler is still moving forward. The actual Tyler people are kind of slowing things up at the moment. We're guessing because we're kind of small and they have a lot larger things to take care of. But at our end, I mean, they're just about ready to go. We're just waiting on them. But when Tyler comes, they have to send people our way, because they will come to the office. There's gonna be sit down, show me how to run it, and it's gonna be pretty lengthy. So it'll take a little while, but it's still moving, so that's a good thing. That's really all I got.
Any questions for Tim? Okay, thank you. And the car goes up sometime in mid-January?
At the end of January.
And that will have the Tyler stuff installed in
Yes.
it that we need on our end. so.
Yep.
And I have it on my notes, that kind of lead in, they did send us the final amount that it will be, and the grant that we received from the commissioners will cover all of it, so very thankful for that. Talking about gas and delinquents, Haley gave this to me today. Right now, it looks like we're $10,966.02 past due. 7,000 of that is court cases. Hearthside's past due amount of $1,342.40 is included in the past due. As you know, we are not allowed at this current time to shut them off or do anything because of them being in bankruptcy or
Right.
reorganization.
And when on that topic, what's happened, they're gonna have to pay that. They can't until it all gets approved through court. They still will be required to pay their utilities and things to whatever community they're in.
Okay.
So it may be delinquent, but they're gonna end up paying it.
And the one envelope that we gave you, it talks about a claim. So I don't know if we have to fill that out in order to get paid.
I'll double check, but
Okay.
should not.
Okay. Then we had, after she had done this, the bills were posted totaling $1,823. So our total delinquent account of balance is $7,852. So that is the best I've ever seen it for this time of year. ERUs I'm not so thrilled with, and I don't know how we can make this up. ERUs are 18,937 delinquent. We put them on their, Greg puts them on their taxes, so we get it eventually, but it takes longer and more paperwork for Greg. So I did want to share those two items. I am going to go over the daycare leaves. I would like to congratulate Police Chief Blanc. Maury came over here, I want to say November, and had paperwork from the Veterans of Foreign Wars. They had nominations for, okay, let me find my exact page. It was for public servant award citations. It included law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians. So I filled out paperwork and put a little story together, and it just so happened that that was the time when Facebook had a lot of people who were making great comments about Tammy. So I did do a lot of those comments in the little write-up, and this was for the district, and lo and behold, Tammy is our district VFW winner for that. So she is now going on to the state level, and on March 2nd at 9:30 in the morning at Wassy, I think it's 9:30, I think you're threes. I was like, 9 or 9:30. She will be recognized over at the VFW in Wassy. And Maury is more than ecstatic because it's always gone to some of the other areas. They get it every year, he said, so, yay! We talked about Tyler. You do have a copy from the December Sheriff's Report. Plus then Spencer provided a basic overview of the highlights from 2024.
When did we set up that meeting, or we were planning a meeting with
Mike
Cortez?
Cortez. We said February or March. I figured to let him find his seat there at his desk, and then I will email him and see if he can schedule us in for either February or March.
Can I say one more thing at the police end that I forgot to mention?
Oh, yeah.
The ones that walk around the neighborhood with your dogs, if you're walking around at night, stroll by the post office. I've been coming out at night because somebody's trashing the post office. So I've been coming out in my personal vehicle. So if you see anybody just wandering in the area, don't hesitate to ring my phone because I might be out or coming out anyhow, so.
Has it been more than that one time?
Oh, yeah.
Now, we've got rid of the recycling things.
Probably.
They told the guy in there, said that that's why we can't treat it nice, we have to get rid of them, so we can't
Yeah, it's
recycle
been
bins.
flour, cornmeal, somebody's, like, ashes from their fireplace.
It's a federal building, don't they have?
Oh, it's gonna be, I'm gonna charge with federal funds.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There's-
do they have cameras?
set up?
No, and they're not, they won't let us put any cameras out there.
Why?
I don't know, the head people say. So
So the next step is gonna be to lock for Lobby. Yeah, so that will be the next step, so. I've been coming out, so if you see my car, that's what I'm doing, because I'm not gonna drive the cruiser, because it'll stick out like a sore thumb, so.
It's just sort of a fake one, it just blinks.
But I've been, I stay out till 1:30 in the morning, but I have to come in at 7, so I can't do much more
Right.
than that.
Did you ask them about if they were able to ask any of the neighbors to put a camera?
I was gonna just ask that.
I said something to her and I never get a straight answer. So we do have a deer cam of our own that I think that's gonna be next. And
Have
I'll
you
just-
checked with Ally Zamora? She's.
I figured one of them over there will
Yeah.
let me if that's what I need to do. So. No, I don't think who that was from around here.
I was gonna say, did we ever find out who the candy cane
No.
thief was?
I don't think that
I
was.
got in
Oh,
so
you're
much
right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Jacob.
Yeah, and then Rob Caroga posted it, and Jacob's like, seriously? I'm sorry. My mom's like, why would you put that on Facebook?
I just can't believe somebody would do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
They needed them.
Sadly, I can't anymore, so no.
Before I get into the daycare lease, just a couple of the other things that I wanted to cover. Covered the shelter house one before the cookie. Just some of the great things we have is community center that we're trying to get that off. The community partnership, that sheet that just went around, their organizational meeting is January 30th at 6 o'clock. And you may or may not have heard, they do intend to have a farmer's market this year. And I don't know if whether Sarah gets her energy from, but I mean, she's checking into all these different organizations to help out. They looked at a couple different spots. The last I heard, they're looking to do it over here in the alley by where they have the tree lighting and that, try to keep it in that parking lot there. And they will be on Saturdays, 9 to noon. If you have any interest in being a vendor, she does have a meeting set up for February 2nd. So I think it'll be a great thing, and her goal, or the committee's goal, was to have it downtown. So again, it'll be nice to have people downtown.
That's once a month through May, June, July, August.
Well, if you really want to know, you come to the organizational meeting on January 30th and then stay after. They're going to chat about it, but I think it's great for our community. Okay, the daycare lease. Greg, Rob, and myself have worked quite a few hours on this. There is tons of legal jargon in it, but the bottom line is that it is a total of 5 years. If you recall their first proposal, they talked about wanting it up to 15 years, and we felt that was an extension of what we may want to go. So we boiled down to a 1-year lease, and then a 3, and then a 1, 2, and a 2. So they have a total of 5 years. The amount that they are going to pay us is exactly what Keith and Lisa proposed when they did their presentation to us. So this year, it is prorated from August 12th for that month, and then it's $12.50 per month till December 31st at a rate of $1,250. Next year, it is still $1,250. And beginning January of '26 through the end of December of '26, it would be $2,250 per month. And then January of '27 through December of '29, it's $3,750 per month. So if you recall, this is what he presented to us, and we stuck with that. Now, he has expressed some interest in purchasing the building. So we have written in there that at the end of the first year, he can come to us with an offer. At the end of the third year, the 2 years, so 1 year, at the end of the 2, after that next section, he can come back then, and then at the end of the 5 year, he can come in and offer. He did send a text the other day and said, do you have any kind of a ballpark figure of what they might be thinking? Can't even tell us till December of '25, but I want you guys to be thinking about that. What do you feel would be an amount if you chose to sell it?
I would just immediately say it was whatever fair market rate would be.
Well, that's what we've discussed with him.
And he may immediately look at it as like, we should sell it maybe cheaper because it was a grant, we didn't have a lot of expense.
Well, but here's the deal, he got a
Right.
grant too, Tyler.
Yeah.
And he
that's-
put that in there, and if something terrible goes wrong, that stuff is still his.
Right.
So, he has value in his grant, and we have value in ours.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, to me.
Regardless of whether it's a grant or not, we still have that, efforts put into that.
If we can legally sell it, we should do it at whatever the fair rate is.
I just think if we're gonna look at the fair market rate, whenever we do that, we exclude like the interior stuff, the stuff that was covered by his grant, like we
Oh,
shouldn't.
we can't count that.
Okay.
We would
Yeah.
have to go through and
We
say.
make him buy back.
Yeah, I was like,
No, it's just
all
the
of
building.
the playground
Yeah.
equipment and stuff really kind of shoots all that up, and I'm
Yeah.
like, we can't.
It's the
do
fair
that.
market
We
value
have
for the building.
500,000 grant. And, you know, we've kind of gone back, do you have anything you want to add? I mean,
Well, as far as selling in the future, there's a gentleman that's quite reputable in Hancock County for giving you a square foot value on an office building, commercial. There's a different way of doing it than you would a residence that you want to sell. And I just had him do it for me on another matter, and when you see their comparables and how they do it, and, you know, yes, they take into account the, you know, the age of the building and upkeep and so forth, but they can give you a value and exclude whatever you want to exclude from it.
As you recall, we had an appraisal done on this building before we purchased it. I'm trying to think, remember
I would
that?
say that if you receive a lot of pushback, but as an accountant, I don't think he would do it any differently if it were him.
Oh.
He was in our shoes, he would be doing it.
Exactly, and Greg and I have talked about that, but he did say to me, do you have any idea? And all I told him was, well, and it actually says fair market, I believe. It does say fair market in the actual lease, that they have first right at it, which,
Correct.
you know what, they put a lot in it too,
Yes.
so.
What was that again, just one more time, I don't know if I wrote it down right. All of 2025 is gonna be $1,250, and then 2026 alone is just $2,050.
Would you guys all like to have a copy of the exhibit that has that?
I think I wrote it down right, just that one number.
The last 2 years was 72.
And so that starts in '28.
Pardon me?
When does that?
27,
27.
27 to 29.
I wasn't a part of council at first, so what was the grant and what did the village put in?
$1 million
We
grant.
put our ARPA money in.
about $172,000 with the ARPA grant, and then there's probably some leftover, but I'd have to pull it out.
What are we still paying for? The insurance in the building, property tax, and then utilities?
No.
No,
No,
it's
they're
not.
right
Paying
on.
utilities.
Yeah, so we have property tax, insurance, and
So there's nothing that we're paying that would have spiked in cost since that they proposed these numbers?
Say that again.
There's nothing that we're gonna pay for that's gone up in cost since they proposed it? That I think what they're saying is fair.
The only thing,
Right. Like utilities, you can't.
They're already paying.
Yeah, they already got that.
They are.
the building's insured for what we had in it. And it had somewhere in there, you asked me about $2 million coverage, right?
Right,
So I called and asked what $2 million coverage,
if it totally was wiped out.
and that was gonna be another, from 1.2 to 2 million was gonna be another $2,700 a year. What I don't remember, you asked me what the first number was, and she sent that to me, it was like $1,700 a year, wasn't it? I don't know why it went up so much, but do we pay $1,700 a year now?
For the daycare,
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the breakdown.
It
Can I
did
get on
go
my phone
up.
and look at that? I just had her email me that the other day.
But they are paying for everything. They're paying, there's a monthly fee for the fire alarm. That's theirs.
Internet,
Internet, water, sewer, phones. They have stepped up for everything.
So we only have two costs, property tax and insurance.
And we did just figure up for our ERUs.
Areas.
Because we do pay that for all of our other properties that we own. And it's only fair, it's a tax. If you're paying it for yours, we should pay it for ours, so.
And we have other maintenance fees that will be covered by us, right?
So our annual premium right now for 1.26 and for $1,000 of contents, because we have very little contents, and it's $2,172. And I'm trying to find
I think
the-
it was
if we went to 2 million,
2,100?
2 million is another $1,271. So what did I say, 2,200 plus 1,200 if we go to $2 million coverage.
34. And but I would like to have a motion to get this passed and get all the signatures and get it in place.
I'll make a motion to approve the daycare agreement, lease. What word are you using there?
Lease agreement.
Lease agreement.
The Little Panthers.
I'll second.
Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Fazy?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes. Do you want to call the roll call in for executive? Please.
Greg, I have a question. You mentioned during Parks and Rec, talking about the park stuff at the back.
We're going to talk about that in executive.
Oh, okay.
So Jamie, you did the first on the executive?
Yep.
We have a second, I forget.
Bye, guys.
Hi, guys, thank you.
Do we have a second on the executive? Second. Mr. Brumbaugh? Mr. Fazy?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Gill?
Yes.
Very good.